Today we are in New York to dive into the heart of retail leadership with someone who's walked the walk from the shop floor to the executive leadership. April Sabral started her career at just 17 as a part-time sales associate and went on to lead teams of hundreds across brands like Starbucks, Banana Republic, and David's Tea. She's the author of The Positive Effect and Incurable Positivity, books that champion the idea that the right mindset can transform not only a team's result, but the entire workplace culture. With more than 3 decades of experience in global retail, April is here to share the lessons, the missteps, and the mindset shifts that can help any leader lead with purpose, empathy, and positivity. Here's Paula Macaggi, and this is episode 83 of my show. Welcome to OFFBounds. April, such a pleasure to be in New York with you again, this time in a studio. Welcome to OFFBounds.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, and I follow you and listen along, so it's a joy to be on the show.
No, you were there when I was first thinking about it, so it's a pleasure to have you here finally to talk about your amazing work.
Thank you. I know from inception to where you are now, I was just looking at the amount of episodes that you've done, and it's incredible, and the guests that you've had are just so interesting, so congrats.
Thank you. But now I have the most interesting guest. So, well, I have both of your books that we have here. I'm showing The Positive Effect and Incurable Positivity. I can say that positivity is something you talk a lot about.
It is a thing I talk a lot about. And it's so funny because it's a word that always attracts people to you. Like I was having a conversation with my sales team this week, and, you know, they're crafting all their messages to like reach out to people like you do, right? And I said, just send a message saying I'm sending you positive vibes. And people always respond. And they were like, no way, you're right. It works every time, because we always get a response of, oh, I'm sending them back to you, right? Versus like, we're trying to sell you something. So that word, it's just such an attraction magnet, but we really live it. We really do.
Well, you are probably the most positive person I know, but I read your book, and you were 17 years old when you started your career in retail, right?
Yes.
Were you positive back then?
I think I was. I think I was always an optimistic child. Yeah. I had an identical twin sister. So I always kind of looked at what was good about life. I learned from having her. She was kind of more rambunctious than I was, I want to say, and I was always the quiet one. So I think I was always optimistic, but I don't know if I was always positive minded. Always optimistic, looking at the bright side, kind of rosy colored glasses, and I still am today. But the mindset's a bit different because it's been a practice and a journey to hold on to that positive mindset, which, by the way, is still a daily practice. I'm not immune from being a human. Right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But all right, so like in your journey, when was the moment, like starting as a 17-year-old in the store floor, what was the journey to realize the positivity effect on leadership?
When I started in retail, I didn't have a career goal to make it to be, you know, where I was when I left that traditional executive job. But
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah. It's like what does Ron say? It's like an accidental career, right? He coined that phrase, and it's so true. But I recognized and learned early on that when customers were coming into the store and they were looking for things or looking for help, I was working on Oxford Street. My first job was in Manchester, but when I went really to London as a young 18, 19-year-old, was working on Oxford Street, if I was friendly with people and happier with people, I would sell more, right? So from that perspective, just being friendly and nice and positive and keeping a good energy in the store was really important. But as I started to get promoted, and I wasn't expecting that, but I was just getting, you know, a really easy person to manage and got along with the team and made it my mission to be really one of the easiest person to manage because I needed a job. Like I was young and I had to pay my bills, you know?
And I think like being positive, being a easy person to work with already brings you to many places. Right?
Yeah,
like
it does.
I say that to young people all the time. They're like, what's your best career advice? And I said,
be the easiest person to manage and the first person to say yes to things. And so I think that was something that I just took on. And as I grew, I recognized really quickly that teams would do more if I was really positive. And, retail is tough. It's a tough business. You're only as good as yesterday's sales. And so I've worked for some organizations, some incredible ones, but through times of change. And every time I would go into an organization, it was like I got the worst store or the worst district or the worst region, and I had to rally people behind a vision and a shared goal. And so just being more positive and influencing them in a positive way gets the results, right? Because in retail, it's all about sales. So it delivered the results. So I just learned that more and more. And I also had an American mother that was a hippie, that was into self-development and the laws of cause and effect and all that woo-woo stuff people say today of manifesting. And so she used to send me books in my 20s and would have me learn and study the art of a positive mindset, So it was just something that was given to me as a gift, as a family gift, but also just learning the impact of it on results when I was running stores.
Yeah, so I think when you talk about positive leadership, people might think this is a soft skill or something that is nice to have, but it actually has sales impact, which is what everybody cares, right?
Yeah. It definitely has sales impact. Yeah, we want positive results. Everybody wants positive comp results, right?
Yeah, positive comes with everything.
Positive comes with everything. Profit, positive profit, positive people. Holding on to your people longer. We know that we work in an industry where it's high turnover. And I had experiences when I worked for people that were really, really positive and how they would hold on to their teams longer and just deliver exceptional results. And so I think it does carry through to a lot. It's an energy, but it's not fluffy and it's not soft. It's intentional. When we talk about positivity with leadership, what we teach now is the intentionality around it. Right.
So and how does it work? Tell me. Because it's very easy to just be positive. I think even people talk about this toxic positivity, but what it really means to be positive in leadership.
What it means is it starts with you. It starts with the self-awareness. It starts with all the science behind why we have so many negative thoughts a day and how those influences impact our surroundings and the people around us. So we have to become really, really aware and self-conscious about all the thoughts we're having, because we have, I can't remember now, it's 8,000 thoughts. I'm probably getting the number wrong, but 80% of them are negative. That's a statistic. And what we think about, drives our behavior. How we believe, what we believe about ourselves drives our behavior. And that has an impact on people around you if you're leading a team, right? So it starts with you, and then it's about how do you positively influence those around you to achieve the goal. And we call it the positive engagement formula. And there's a lot more to this, because now the framework, which is the 3 pillars in the book, has got into 70 frameworks over 5 years of teaching it. But it's about literally bare bones, igniting somebody's positive emotions to work for you and with you, and then teaching them the skills and abilities to do the job. And if you can do those 2 things, 9 times out of 10, you'll get a positive result, right? Simple, but there's a lot of skill involved in that.
Can you tell us a story where the positivity impacted?
Yeah. There's a story in the book about the $1 million chocolate bar story. And that was a story of when I had a team. I was running some retail stores. We had a changeover in leadership, and I had a new boss. And she came onto the scene, walked into a meeting, and gave us a goal that not one of us felt that we could achieve based on the evidence of last year's sales, the experience that we had, the staffing, the traffic, all the things that go into driving a result. And so we just thought she was crazy when she asked us to increase the goal. And I got the job from the team of going to have a conversation with her about this and saying, you just walked into the business. You haven't been here. What do you know? And you're asking us to have belief in this goal that
you think, you're crazy.
Yeah, we've all dealt with that, right? In goals and bosses and things like that. And she just looked at me and she said, if you don't believe this, you won't achieve it, and neither will the team. And so that was it. That was the end of the conversation. She wasn't like, well, let's talk about it. What do you think you can do?
Oh, maybe you're right. Let's see if we can change.
Yeah. So I went home that night and I thought, she's right. Of all the things, if I don't believe it, I can't achieve it. So I went home and, story about making the chocolate bars. That's real. Went to the store, bought some chocolate bars, wrapped up, made them on my Mac, wrapped up a new goal and shipped them out to people, gave them to everybody in the office. And I said, we're not going to talk about what we can't do. We're going to talk about what we can do. But that means that we all have to buy in to this goal. And even if we don't, we're going to do everything in our power to accomplish it. And we did. And it was a huge unlock for me because I understand the power of positivity and mindset. I had got to where I was at that point in my career. But sometimes when you can achieve more than you believe you can and you don't catch yourself or somebody doesn't catch you in it, and point it out to you, you could derail a whole team and a company. And at that point, I was regional director. I was in charge of multiple stores. So if I hadn't believed in it, then how would the team have believed in it? And that lesson stuck with me forever. So I get those moments where I'm like, how am I going to do this? And then I go back to that moment and say, okay, if we don't believe it, we can't achieve it. So what do we need to do, right?
I remember when I first had my thoughts about OFFBounds, and I was like, I don't know if I can get like the CEO to talk to me. Who wants to talk to me? And I heard exactly that. Like, well, if you don't believe it, you'll never do. And I just started believing in it. And I sit with people
all day.
This is literally what I do. I talk to leaders all day.
Yeah, you've interviewed the most amazing people all over the world.
All over the world.
Right. So imagine if you had listened to yourself at that point and gone down that road. And I think that's why positivity matters today more than ever, because it is a choice. It's a choice to believe that you can do something else. It's a choice to see a vision, and it's a choice to take the steps, even if you don't know what's going to happen, even in the midst of fear. And as an entrepreneur, you'll know that, right? Like, I was listening to Cody Sanchez, who I love, last night on the Diary of a CEO. I love that podcast. And she said, entrepreneurship is you have to be able to deal with pain, right? She was like, there's different levels of pain, There's pain of, maybe you're not getting in front of enough people, or the severe pain is you're running out of money. And I think about that when I think about my retail career, because again, we went through a lot of struggles and challenges trying to hit those goals. And so yeah, I think that set me up for where I am now. But it definitely, you have a choice. You're either going to overcome it, build that mental muscle and get past it. And then you look back and you go, oh, it wasn't so hard. I can do something else, right? That's what that positive rewiring of your brain does,
now
right?
Maybe I'll go to the moon.
Yeah. Tim Cook, that's your next guess.
So there's something in your book that is the ACT, Accept, Create, and Teach. Can you walk us through what it means and why this is important?
Yeah. So ACT stands for how you act as a leader matters. And I'm an action person. I'm not a big theory person. It's all about operations and execution. So action really matters to me. So it's an active word. And accept is all about building wonderful relationships, connected relationships, accepting the reality of where you are so that you can create a really great plan to move forwards, accepting that sometimes your team may just agree with you because you have a title as well. So really understanding that if you can connect with people, get those judgments out of the way, then you'll have far better influence on people, because acceptance unites us all, right? If we remove judgment and comparison, we can come together better. So that's the first step. It's all about the relationship. I really believe that people work for people and people leave people. And so that's the first pillar.
People.
Right. Everybody does, right? So that's really important. And people have a hard time with that. We don't just talk about communication skills. We talk about connection skills. That's very different. So that's the first pillar. And then the second pillar, create, is about where you spend your mind and your time really matters. So managing mindset, managing your time, because we all can do better at that every day, because wherever you put your mind and your thoughts and your physical time and output, that's what's going to show up in your life. I truly believe that. I'm a metaphysical practitioner as well. People know that. It's not a secret, but that's just the study of what you can't see. So I'm always thinking about, that time management and that mindset piece. And
energy management too, right?
Yeah.
Like how much energy you're going to put.
100%.
You can, I don't know, you can hurt yourself in the shower today. How much energy you're going to put, like, oh my God, I hurt myself. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
It's going to ruin your day. Are you going to let that ruin your day?
Yeah. And we talk about above the line, below the line mindset. And when you're above the line, the energy. And, if you think about longevity studies and all of that now, people are really into that science of the mind, right? So that's really important. And then the last pillar is teach. And that's really how to be a coach. Any great sports team has a coach sitting on the sideline that's helping them be the best version of themselves. And so that is a skill set. Leaders need to learn how to be a coach, how to coach their team, and how to help them improve performance and not just tell people what to do and direct them. And I think that's very hard for a lot of leaders because they're in charge, they have a title, they think they have to have all the answers, and they don't, right? So that's a coaching skill. And also just being teachable. I think you can learn a lot from your team if you're open to grow with them. I know when I became a vice president and had a bigger title, people would just agree with me all the time. And I'd be like, I'm not the smartest one in the room. Just forget my title for a minute and just say what you want to say. I don't care about how you say it. Just say what's on your mind. And I would learn from them. And even now, I have people on my team that I'm learning from every day. So those are what those 3 pillars down. And it's turned into 3 workshops that we've been delivering for the last 5 years. And it's super exciting to see people changed, when they come out of it, they remember it.
Yeah, but I think maybe a store manager is easy to teach that. And the store manager is going to work with 5 people that they have in the store or 30. But can that be scalable? Can the executive team actually see that and scale? Yeah,
because of the frameworks that we have. We have very practical frameworks that once you adopt it, it's like an ABCD, right? Everybody wants a step-by-step formula. And I think about the change matrix that we have, the 6 pillars of change, that if one of them is missing, the reaction that people have to it. So it's a really great assessment tool for executives to say, okay, if we're struggling and we're not creating a positive culture, what are we creating? And then to backtrack it and look at that assessment tool and the pillars to say, what could we be better at as a team? And I've been at all levels and I've trained at all levels, honestly, on this. We tailor it somewhat. But I think what makes it different, and that's what people say to me all the time, is that it's just so actionable. You literally, once you learn this, it's you can't unsee what you've seen, right? It's not high theory.
Let's say, I don't know, I just learned something.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of next day result that they already noticed or?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few people I can think about with the accountability wheel. Right, that 9-step accountability wheel. And actually, it's one of the best frameworks now that comes out of the training. So there's a book coming out about, and another training coming out about just that accountability framework. But I've had executive
You're going to have to have another episode.
Yeah. I've had executive leaders say to me that they use it at the end of every meeting and they just want to tattoo it on everybody's arm because it literally changed the game on how they're holding people accountable in a positive way. Because it's 9 steps. If you follow this formula, you'll have a culture of accountability in a positive way. And everybody knows what it is. Because when I do this training, I'll say, what's accountability mean to you? And I'll ask 10 people at the table.
I was going to say, what is accountability?
Okay, I'm going to ask you, what does accountability mean to you?
It's know that you are responsible for an action or for something that happened. You acknowledge that was you. You're not expecting, I don't know. Or you don't want to blame somebody else, right. Something like that.
So you're taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. So when I ask that question, I get 50 answers. Well, the thing about that is, yes, everybody's got a perspective and they're right. But how do you get 200 stores, 3,000 stores to align on accountability if everybody's got a different answer? So when people ask me, I just say it's a 9-step framework. And when you follow this framework, and everybody does, you'll all be aligned on what accountability is. So you'll have a clear expectation about what accountability is, because the number 1 step that gets missed with most leaders is setting clear expectations. So you don't even have expectations about what accountability means to everybody in your organization. Nobody's going to know what it is. And I saw that when I ran David's Tea. We had 260 stores and we rolled out that step-by-step framework and everybody knew what accountability meant. There was a clear expectation. Therefore, we had shared alignment on that and we could measure it. We could say, you have
an accountability index?
Yeah, we totally do. So that's why I'm excited about the book to come out. It's called Positive Accountability because it's just one of those mystical things that we have to myth bust and demystify for leaders, so it's not a scary thing.
Yeah, because I think the lack of accountability is usually somebody what happened to this store this day? I don't know. I was doing something else. Like,
Yeah.
but being accountable is like, hey, I know it was my shift. I should have known. Like, I don't know, something like that.
And when you can get it to a point of people know what it is in advance, they'll actually say in advance of you telling them, oh, you know what, I could have done this better, or I missed this step. And that's where ownership gets transferred. I had a visit a very long time ago with a boss of mine who literally watched me take calls from my team the whole time I was in a lunch meeting with him. And he said, if you can't transfer ownership to your team and they can't function without you, and you're always going to be the Google of your team, then you're never going to move up in the organization because you just can't scale yourself. And that was a wake-up call. And that's one of the steps in the accountability wheel. If you don't share what the consequences are, if you don't do something, then you're not transferring ownership to give that other person the decision about what they want to do to get past it. And I went home and I made a choice. I'm going to get everybody else responsible for their role because I wanted to get promoted, right? But if he had never said that to me, I would have never known that. Maybe
that's exactly what I needed to listen today. I see so many people talking about stars and tasks. Everybody has tasks. What makes the difference of a star manager that is pretty much just seeing if everybody have done the task, or being a true leader? What is the difference between these two?
They think about people, not just process. So they think about how they get their people trained up to take on the operational tasks, and they approach it from a perspective of how skilled are my team to be able to do things when I'm not around. And they train and they coach. You know, training is something that everybody needs. And it's one of the things that probably gets forgotten about a lot, because when leaders get stressed, they start doing everything themselves and taking on all the things, right? Like the list of everything. I mean, I do it now. I go into my Monday and I'm like, okay, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And I go, hold on, April, who on my team can take this off me? And it might require me to spend a bit of time training them. That means investing time in advance. And so the leaders that take a step back and say, who on my team can learn and grow from this moment, and then pour into that person, that team member, to spend the time teaching and training and going back and making sure that they're coaching. If they keep doing that repetitively, they're going to have a team of people that feel empowered and know exactly what needs to get done and be skilled, right? As well as somebody that recognizes performance in a positive way and, you know, all those good things. Again, inspire people to ignite their positive emotions and teach them the skills. Those are the leaders that I've seen that do the best. There are micromanagers that sell and do everything themselves, but they're going to get totally burnt out. Their team's not going to feel empowered. They're not going to feel valued. And eventually that run comes to an end. It doesn't continue and they don't get promoted.
Yeah, because you can't
sustain it, right? So
can anybody be a leader?
I think leadership is teachable. I do. Now,
it's not a natural talent that people come with.
I think people have natural leadership abilities, 100%. Because if I think back to when I was younger, I did have natural leadership abilities. And I have two people on my team, a few people on my team, not just two, a few people on my team. And I can see the people that step up and want to take on more because they're the driver and they're hungry to grow and, career driven. But I do think that leadership can be taught. I think you have to be willing to learn. I think that's the caveat. Apple hires for learning agility. Right, when I worked there, I was a recruiter and we hired for learning agility. And a learning agility means you want to learn and then you do, and then you apply it in real time. And so that success of somebody able to do that means that they can achieve anything if you're willing to grow, which is the last pillar, right? So I do think that it's teachable, and I do think it's you can learn those skills. It requires effort and commitment, just like anything else in life. But there are some people that just naturally have it.
I think I grew up with taking risks. So I was always like, well, the worst that can happen is to stay where I am.
Right, yeah, it's true.
But some people need a little push.
Yeah. And I think if you're going to lead people, not just process, you have to like people. I don't think you can really manage a team of people if you don't like people. I think that's going to be hard to teach people. I think you have to really like people. I mean, if you work in a sales and service business, you got to like people, right? If you don't, it's really probably not the business for you.
I don't think I ever mentioned this on OFFBounds, but I worked in the service industry while I was studying. And when I was working in hospitality, I think I was hating people. Now I love them. But people can be very mean. You know that. Like in stores, people come like with all their hate.
Yeah.
To spew on you.
It's funny. I used to have like district managers and regional directors, show up and like complain about people and this and that. And I say, hey, if you didn't have issues with people, you wouldn't have a job. Like, this is what you're here to do, solve issues with people. So, reframe it, right? Like, let's, but the natural tendency of most people is to complain. It's human nature, that, right? Like, it's human nature. So when we hear that, we have to like kind of shift it. But yeah, I do think you have to like people. I love people. I think people are so
nowadays I do because everybody treats me well.
Right.
But it wasn't the case back then.
Well, when you're in the service industry and you're like in hospitality, like retail, people see it as like an uneducated career job, and they kind of treat people not so nice, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, these people need some positivity too.
They do.
But you can't teach the customers, but you can teach how to react to them.
You can teach how to respond to them, respond to them,
So you had a 30-year career in retail?
Yeah.
I think like retail, well, it's the topic of my podcast. This is literally what I talk about all day. But I think it's such an interesting industry because it's the industry that everybody's a consumer of. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows what is a good experience in a grocery shop, or everybody knows what is a good experience buying clothes. But it's also like an industry that you can transfer to all the other industries, right? Like all these thoughts. Maybe some industries are easier because they don't have a consumer facing, but it still needs some positivity.
Well, I think that you learn so much in retail, right? Cross-functional skills that you can take outside of retail. Like, and if you think about it, we hire mostly first-time job seekers in a lot of stores. And so if they have a really great leader or a great manager first experience, they can develop so much skills that they will take on to their careers somewhere else. And then some people love it or get stuck in it for whatever reason and then end up moving up because it's an easy way to earn more money, build a career. If you don't know what you want to do, right? like most of us that ended up in it, like Ron says, accidentally. But I do think that it teaches you so much. Teamwork, taking feedback, like
dealing with difficult customers,
right? Yeah. Like talking people off a ledge. Like I've done that many times, right? Like I was always the one that be like, April, we got a customer over here. Can you just come talk them off the ledge? I was like, okay, let's go. But it builds that skill set of people, human connection, like understanding people,
And it's been 5 years you published this book. I can't believe it because I remember when you published it.
Me too.
I remember. It's been 5 years we know each other.
Yeah, that's wild.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's next?
What's next? We are bringing out the new book, Positive Accountability, because that's been an ask. So I'm excited about that. It's nearly done. And that will be like a real handbook for leaders. And then the Positive Effect is going to...
That one you were in Lisbon with me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that one. That one's just like forever, like a good little pocketbook. But the Positive Effect, the first book that's 5 years old, we're doing a 5-year edition. I didn't even realize it was 5 years. I was in my like KDP Amazon account and I saw the publish date. And I was like, I called Angie Costa, who's my editor publisher. And I was like, did you know that this has been 5 years since we hit the publish date? Because, when you're building something, you're just going along and you don't really look back, right? You keep looking forwards. And so we're doing a 5-year edition. And in that 5-year edition, we're going to make it more open to not just retail leaders, because we've trained other industries now and the methodology works, and then include quotes from leaders, in the service, hospitality and retail in the book. And ask them, like, what's positive leadership mean to you and how do you make a positive ripple every day? Because if we can keep doing that, we can keep spreading that joy and making sure that every person has a great, employee experience. That's why I do the work. Yes, I love leadership, but what I care about more than anything is that people that are in the industry feel valued by their boss. That's really what drives why we do what we do. And
it actually changes also the leader feeling with everyone. Like it's great to validate people.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And you feel validated by validating people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you feel good about what you do. So, and it changes people's lives. Some people like go through the above the line, below the line training and things like that, some of those frameworks. And they say it changed the way that they talk to their partner or their wife or their kids at home. Like we hear that quite often because they're people skills, right? So, we just want to keep making a bigger ripple. So that's coming up. And we have a certification now where we're training trainers. So that's really cool. We're spreading that ripple with more trainers.
Everybody's going to be more positive after that.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So if you want to take the training into your organization, you can send somebody a certification, train the trainer, or coaches are learning it and adopting it and taking it into their practice. So super
and
exciting.
If you could go back in time to talk to April 30 years ago, just like she's there, what did you tell her about her career?
What would I tell her about her career? You're going to have an amazing career in retail. You're going to meet the most amazing people. Make sure that you learn from them, ask questions, don't be afraid, step up, take on as much as you can. And one day, if you're lucky, you'll write a book and, train and develop millions of leaders and give back to the industry. And just make sure that you don't let your doubt get in the way, right? I wouldn't change anything that I did or the career that I've had because it's led me to this point. So I don't live in those regrets. But I think sometimes our self-doubt may get in the way of what we're doing. I think I'd also say to her, be a bit more ballsy when it comes to like asking for salaries and things like that. I think women, right? Like we don't negotiate very well, like what we want and value ourselves in a job. So I learned that. That's something I learned. Yeah. So I think if I was going back and having a conversation with her, I'd probably have a conversation with her around that as well. Just say like, know your worth, know your value. And I do have those conversations with younger leaders now, like learn how to negotiate, because what you do has a really big impact and you need to know your value. And again, I just think as a woman, we need to be better at that.
And everybody that is listening to us, they are leaders in their own retail world. What would be your advice to them? Like the leaders that, they have to control so many stores, so many store managers. What would be your one advice? It can be hire me.
No, I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah. But, your advice to them as they go through the whole pain points of changes and everything in retail.
Yeah, I think my best piece of advice would be to take a step back, think about what you want to accomplish together as a team, ensure that you're looking after yourself, that you're taking care of you. Because retail, I can tell you this, like so many leaders I talk to, and even me, we weren't taking care of ourselves first. Self-care didn't exist back then. It was just like do the work and then get the job. So I think I would tell them to look after themselves because their energy, is going to affect everybody else. And so make sure that they take care of themselves. But I would also say, learn, grow, be open to learn and grow, and like and this is not one answer, but have a self-development plan. Like, don't wait for somebody to come along and tell you what you need to learn. Make sure you know what you need to learn and then go seek out people, classes, courses, mentors in the business and learn and grow. And I think that's really, really important. If you want to grow and you seek that out, you're always going to go further than somebody that doesn't. And just don't wait and sit back for that. You can find people, you can knock on doors, email. Now it's so much easier. You can write to people on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's true. Don't wait for someone to save you.
Yeah.
Like go and do your own actions.
Yeah. Pave your own way. What do you want? What do you want to achieve in your career? And then put an action plan in place to go do it and have a self-development plan. So that's really important. Even when I left my role, I was like, okay, well, now I have to measure my own performance, right? As an entrepreneur, business owner. So I do that. I rank myself on Sundays, like, how did I do in this job this week? I'm not waiting for somebody to tell me. I know where I need to improve, right? To get the result I want, so.
Yeah, there was a moment, it was 2020 for me. 2020 was a transformative year when we met.
Yeah.
But I remember I was like, okay, I want to the better. I never pictured having a podcast for sure. But what I needed to do was like super easy steps. Like I want to read more books.
Right.
So I can write better in English, so I can speak better, have better vocabulary. I also got into gym, and like I think I need that process in my mind. I think like the discipline was really changed my perception of self-development because I saw the results for each little thing that I was doing. So
it's incremental changes, right, that build that positive momentum. So good for you. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. Like, honestly, I just remember when this was an idea. It's so great. So you've done amazing.
Thank you, April. Thanks for the positivity. And I'll hold you accountable for the next book on accountability.
Okay.
And I can't wait to get another autograph of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.